Howdy, everyone, and welcome back to NLC Division 2, our final game of the day as Rate Gaming take on Lundqvist Lightside. And Jamada, this is a big game because this is two teams that are very high up in the standings. You're talking about first and third. Rate Gaming have been looking really good lately, and you talk about a team ramping up over a course of the split, and Rate, I feel, have embodied that and have looked really good over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, they're on I believe it's a 5-6 game win streak or so. These guys are really looking strong, a lot stronger I feel than even their spring split iteration of themselves. And it's definitely very nice to see, right? I think especially a lot of people were potentially somewhat concerned to a point in terms of, you know, that rate roster from spring whether you can argue whether or not it like overperformed, underperformed. I think coming into it, most people were at the very least expecting it to be a pretty decent roster. Um, and then we kind of get the changeover to, a much more explosive set of players, shall we say, which you could maybe argue are a little bit more volatile compared to what we saw from spring. And, you know, the expectations are probably a little more tempered in that regard because people don't really know what exactly to expect. But so far, Ray have been honestly putting on a bit of a shift so far in Division Two, and it's definitely very nice to see. They've been pretty much dismantling most of the weaker teams below them. The only teams really that they are yet to prove themselves against are against Lightside and Natives, right? And obviously they did pick up a very early loss to Munster. I believe that was in the very first week when Munster had the original roster. Um, so yeah, they are looking very strong. So right now, the only thing they really need to do to prove to us that they are, deserved of being, top two kind of team moving into playoffs is taking down the likes of Lightside or Natives in a best of one. And of course, they have the opportunity right here to do that.
Yeah, and Rate have dropped a game against Lightside and against Natives back on the opening week, and then they had that loss against Munster Rugby Gaming that was, I believe, rescheduled, so it was off stream,
Oh yeah, no,
if I'm
that
not
was with
mistaken.
the revitalized monster. That's right. Actually, I'll take
Mm.
that back. So they've effectively only really lost to the top two teams, and then that monster roster that we have now, pretty much minus Dokai. Um, which looked like they were maybe going to go on a tear, but of course they've now kind of tapered off a little bit. Still need a little bit of time to maybe work out some of some teething issues. We'll call it. So rate realistically, the ceiling looks as high as the rest of the top end teams, but they just need to prove that they can, do that against those top end teams. It's all well and good, taking apart all the teams below you, but when you still have, a little bit of height left above you, that top two spot, you need to show that you can very much and very easily contest these teams and take them down in a convincing fashion.
And then we move on to Lundqvist Lightside, and the game that always stands out for me for Lundqvist Lightside is that first game of the split against Natives when they were 15k goal down, and then Moxox just popped off on that jinx. And I bring it up. Yes, I don't think it was an accurate representation of how natives play, but I think it kind of represents Lundqvist Lightside to an extent in the sense that if the game gets late, if Moxox gets resources towards him, he is a really good late game AD carry.
Yeah, no, Moxox definitely can be. He's shown it time and time again throughout the split. I think Lightside generally, they've been giving themselves really strong drafts that are, you know, not really, that high of an execution floor to meet, which has definitely been a very strong benefit for Moxox in particular, because it's been a lot of, weak side top laners, hyper carries on the bottom side, or just, situations where he is set up to carry the later stages, or he's set up with a draft in the early game for him to be played around. And I think that's definitely what's allowed and propped up Moxox to have such a strong split so far. We'll see whether or not Lightside can get a very similar setup as we move into picks and bans for our final game of the day. Again, both these teams really want to pick up this win. For Lightside, it's about, keeping the lead against the other teams below them. For Rate, it's about ensuring that they can show us that they can take down the two teams who have so far established themselves as the top two.
And if Rate do win this, we're going to be in a situation where our top three teams are all on 8 wins and 3 defeats, which will be fantastic to see heading into the final few weeks of a regular season. That Bellwether taken away from Lundqvist Lightside, as is the Zeri.
Yeah, and has to be noted, of course, you may have noticed we had a pretty extended break between our previous game and this game. Lightside have been penalized, I'm assuming, with all 3 bans given the weight, though I would need confirmation from production in my ears, and of course we will get visual confirmation if they end up not banning anything. Which, on the red side, I wonder how this is going to affect them. It could even, to a point, we had this discussion a few years ago, if you recall. I think it was T1. I can't even remember what tournament it was. I think they ended up losing bans because of some kind of roster issue. And then they actually ended up with a stronger draft because there was more champions available to them. For Lightside, this could be a potential thing, being on the red side of the draft. And you can even see Rate have kind of accommodated for that in the sense of banning away Zeri and Yumi on blue on the same side, trying to avoid that rotation. We'll see what they open the draft. It seems like Lightside, yes, have been penalized with all 3 bans. And let's see, actually, no, 2 bans, I guess, as they remove away the Seraphine. So let's see what this leaves up for them and what Rate decide is the best path to go down for their B1 pick.
Now, something I do want to bring up as well is talking about this top side of the map, because I feel like these are 2 completely opposite players. We've seen MBZ always on tank duty, playing on weak side, the likes of the Karma even in the top lane, whereas Curl and Nulto not playing this time. It is Curl, always on aggressive champions for Curl. We've seen the Fiora and the Olaf so far, as the Senna is the first pick for Raid.
Yeah, Senna, so potentially setting up for a Senna Tom Kench, something along those lines. So what will Lightside go towards here? Of course, this area is banned away. You could go for something like super scaly, like towards the edge, or you could just try and go smash lane. The Renata is up and available. If Lightside want to go for, Kalista Renata just straight up, I'm sure they'll be happy to. They could even technically leave it up. I think with the Senna being there, realistically, the chances of Renata being picked up by Rate relatively low, but you could also just want to snap up the combo now, hold on to the rest of your picks so you can get something a little more counter pick intuitive, allow Rate to have to show their hands, and then pick something that makes a little more sense.
So I think the last time Rate picked this Senna in the bottom lane, it was actually for Sin, and I want to say it was paired with a Sona, but I might be wrong on that because there have been some roster swaps. Either way, this Volibear is locked in, and this is what you want to see being paired with a Kalista, right? That early aggressive jungler that can follow up, make these aggressive plays, look for tower dives towards the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, exactly, and expect that Renata to come in on R3 more chances than not. Here's the Trundle response that I actually called out a couple of drafts ago when we saw the Kalista and the Volibear come in at R1, R2. So Gabuesh, actually, Gabush is here. Am I trolling? Has Gabush always been on Raid?
No, it was Julbo before.
Yeah, it was Julbo before. So Gabush has actually stepped in. So that's something I did not realize. So Gabush here, of course, the former Monster Rugby Gaming jungler, looked like one of the strongest junglers in spring. So we'll see what he can bring to the Rate side for this match. Whether this is a permanent thing or not, we'll get to find out sooner or later. But they also they did take up the Olaf in the same rotation, and now on the opposite side, Lightside opting not to go for the Renata with no support being shown. They actually opt into the Akshan instead for NBZ towards the top side. So I wonder if they're gonna try and shut down respective pools depending on where they want this Akshan. They will take away Errol's Cassiopeia. At the very least, we've seen him pull out his comfort pick time and time again, and when he does, very commonly he wins those games. He knows so well how to pilot a lot of those matchups, but because we've seen this Akshan come in, now Rate get the opportunity to take away the strong pairing of the Renata with the Kalista. They can probably look to take away one more support ban as well. I expect Lightside will probably take away the Tahm Kench, but they could also go towards another engaged support just simply because right now Rate are definitely lacking on that front.
And I do want to talk about this pickup for Teases in the mid lane as well. Akshan, probably the most aggressive champion we've seen from him so far. I think the closest we've got to an aggressive champion is a Cinder. Aside from that, it's been loads of Victor mid games for the side of Lundqvist Lightside. So seeing Teases kind of extending his champion pool, playing in a different style to what we've seen compared to the rest of the split.
That is definitely the case, as Mumu will also be banned away. So what will Lightside pick up here for their support? Because I expect that to be the case. Hold on to the Akshan flex and just see where you can go from there. Expecting some kind of setup for the dives, right? You always want that when you have the Volibear. Instead, they're just going to hold on to it. And honestly, this is also another path you can take, right? When you have the Kalista, getting, a positive support matchup always is pretty much unanimously going to benefit you, right? So showing the Victor here kind of does make sense in that regard, because Kalista 1-to-1 with Senna always is going to out-trade her in the early stages once she's actually in range to do so. Making sure that you have support to supplement those trades and that should have have positive interactions with whatever support matchup that Rate go for is also very important. Azir will end up being locked in. So Senna Azir, very strong combination, because Senna, doesn't really need the resources. You can effectively always go fasting, pick up another tank, and now you have, double, triple front line. You get DPS from the Azir and split damage profile from the rest of the composition. and that can be a little bit spooky. So let's see what rate decide to pick up here. I'm expecting, realistically, the Tahm Kench to come in. I think it's just the most sensible thing, but they could look for something a little more spicy, perhaps towards the Scion. But again, I just feel like the Tahm Kench just stands out a little bit too much here.
Absolutely. So to go back to my previous point, he is not changing his playstyle. He is going back to his Victor's 6th game on the champion this split, and Lundqvist Lightside going deeper into the Enchanter realm to pair with.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. That's better.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I think the rail call out, obviously the interaction between the tough skin and the rail Q. Rail Q, if you don't know, remove shields. So if they're able to bring velocity very low, then they can always just remove the shield with Svene pressing his Q key on him. And then he's a very easy target to execute. So Lightside, I think, have a fairly defined draft. In all honesty, I think they're going to just be looking towards the bottom side, 3v3. I think, however, right, Rate have given themselves pretty strong tools to deal with that, right? I think the fact that they have the Trundle here to try and match the 1v1 directly of the Volibear, but also the 3v3, being able to pillar Callista can really stop her from kind of being a champion as long as she's inside that slow field. So we'll see what use Gabush can get out of that ability, but I think across the board on both sides, you have very strong and consistent themes. Towards the top side for 8, a very strong 2v2. Towards the bottom side for Lightside, a very strong 3v3. And in the mid lane, 2 scaling mages who are going to realistically be looking to either try and gain priority in the early stages for their junglers, or just hit those 2 IM power spikes so they can look to team fight and get out all of their damage.
So before I was trying to talk about Teasers not being on a Victor, being on an aggressive champion, but now it's BZ who's on this aggressive champion. And BZ, you know, a player, you look at his previous games, Malphite, Karma, Ornn, Sejuani, Gragas, now he's on the Akshan. This is a very aggressive champion to be playing in the top lane. How does this matchup go into the Olaf?
Well, I expect for Olaf, it's probably not the most fun, right? Akshan, fairly good at cutting out, right? Gets a little bit of the shield from the passive procs. I think he has some kind of movement speed chucked in there somewhere too. But above all, even if he doesn't, being able to use the hook shot away from the Olaf, as long as he doesn't collide with anything, is always going to be key. If Curl does find his way on top of NBZ, then yes, there can definitely be some issues as we are into a pause immediately. But what I would like to highlight is that Curl actually has the exhaust and the ghost. And MBZ, anticipating Ghost to come out from Curl anyway, has a Ghost of his own and the Flash. So Curl is really trying to stick to NBZ. I don't think there gets, like, there's no more of a sticking power combination than Exhaust Ghost. You get faster, you slow down your enemy. We'll see what he can get done, but from the get-go, has the Doran Shield, he knows he's going to be poked out a fair bit.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see how this top lane goes because it is looking very, I guess you could say, coin flippy, very double-edged. And we talked as well about Bambi on this Volibear looking towards this bottom side. You've got that engage courtesy of Svene. And you mentioned as well about how you can break that thick-skinned shield with the Shattering Strike, the Rel Q. Which also, actually, a lot of people forget sometimes. That Q heals your tethered partner.
Your tethered person, yeah. It's because the heal isn't typically that big. And I also think Rel's probably max W, if I had to wager a guess, having more access to the Crash Down. And I think it's actually got 2 portions of a name, right? Crash Down, Remount?
It's Ferromancy, Crash Down, and then the Mount Up,
Yeah. So having more access to that is obviously a pretty big deal for the likes of Rel. So yeah, the fact that Q doesn't get maxed, it's kind of just a very small heal. I don't even know what it scales off of, if it scales off of anything, to be honest with you. But yes, it's definitely
about that now.
Yeah, now I'm kind of thinking about it. But yeah, it's effectively, you know, a matchup which realistically should just favor Lightside, right? I think towards the bottom side of the map, Hoys and Velocity are probably going to be looking to just play this one out as safely as possible, right? It's not quite as oppressive as the ult in a Tahm Kench, where Senna, of course, could devour the center if she was ever in danger. Has to wait until level 6 to have access to that skill. But, of course, still a lot of sustain between those 2 champions that should be able to weather through any of the aggression that should come from the light side bottom laners. And I look towards the top side, and I do wonder whether or not Rate are going to look to play through what is a 2 combat spell summoner Olaf, because I think if you can get Olaf running, then maybe there's like a brief window where he can be used as a bridge, but I think, again, you're probably just looking to scale.
So quickly going back to the Rel point, because I've got an interesting fact, I guess you could call it. Did you know there's someone currently in Masters Korea who is playing Rel top, and just spamming it?
No.
Yes, Reed, it is not you.
And the thing is, they're in Master, so they're not even
Yeah.
duo with anybody because duo is disabled in Master Plus. Like, if it was some weird cheese strat with like, I don't know, Rel Shaco or some nonsense like that,
No.
just as an example, then it's like, okay, sure, cheese that can maybe get you up to Master.
Mhm.
But it's just the solo player playing Rel top. Curious.
Yeah, so there's just some videos out on YouTube where I think it's Rel just solo killing Aurelia, and just in general having a good time in the top lane. It's bizarre. I don't get how it works. I feel like it shouldn't work, but someone's clearly figured out a way to
They've
make
cracked the code.
Rel, a solo laner. So there we go.
Strange. I feel like we've not been seeing too many weird picks like that these days. I feel like most of the picks stay relatively normal, unless your name
Yeah.
is the Shy and you play Anivia top.
I'm now trying to think about like what I feel like we've got to a point where we have been like the Sejuani top. I feel like that's a relatively non-conformal thing.
Yeah, but I feel like the thing about Sejuani top is this: it's been in meta before,
Yes.
so it's not like something new. It's not like if, I don't know, like if Rek'Sai just randomly became a top laner or something.
Right.
Like Sejuani has been played top before because it kind of just made sense for like having a melee carry jungler, for example, that you could try and set up to snowball. I feel like, yeah, we haven't really seen anything, wacky like that. And maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but what feels like at the very least over a year. I feel like when champions released recently, that they're just either, a role or two roles, and that's kind of it. But anyway, focusing on the game,
Yes.
as we have come out of the pause. Rate looking for a late invade. Olaf, Trundle, not too bad, but Crash Down is here from Svene on the top
the
side.
Crash Down, and Teases is on the other side. His first blood for Svene, and the invade goes horribly wrong for Ray. Gabushi's going to be able to pull one kill back, but Mbizi will find the second kill of the fight.
Yeah, and look how this is going to impact the mid lane as well. Errol, even though he gets an assist, he loses his whole health bar, has to use a pot already. Teases full health bar and look towards Bambi and Mbizi now. Mbizi picked up one kill, one assist. We'll be able to hopefully shove in the wave relatively soon and then get a recall, cash in on that gold. Bambi is the only real loser in that exchange. Because he died, he's going to have to go towards the jungle and solo farm up. Moxox as well on the bottom side. 2v1 might have missed out on a little bit of XP at worst, but I think the fact that Svene is up there just hovering in the mid lane to ensure that, if an invade comes through, they can shut it down. And shut it down they do. Great read from Lightside.
Now, if there is just one advantage that Rate can take from this, it's the fact that MBZ hasn't been able to back yet and hasn't been able to cash in that gold. And the same can be said for Svene. So Rate still do have this little window where they can abuse matchups, let's say.
Look at Gabushia, because he's taken his red buff and he's just running straight into Bambi's jungle. He's going to actually be on a ward, and the Grump's already gone, so he's kind of just wasted a bunch of time. He's going to try and potentially chase Bambi out, but they both have Smite coming up, so this is just going to be a bit of a fist fight, and whoever moves first, which is not going to be Rate's laners. Oh, is Gabushia
Here comes Svene. Crash Down available, but here is Hoy's and Velocity as well. Moxox is making his way over. Svene able to get out to safety, but Bambi healed. 3 members on top of the Volley Bear. Moxox trying desperately to drop down damage. He's going to be able to find one kill onto Gabusha, making a 1-for-1. Flash away from the last embrace. Svene now tanking up the damage from Ray, but look at Teases over the wall with the Death Ray. Svene still alive, but will eventually fall. Flashes over the wall. Velocity dies as well. And Moxox gets a triple kill 3 minutes into the game.
We spoke about how Lightside like to play through Moxox. This time it's Rate playing into the bottom side of the map, and he is just the benefactor of 3 kills on a Kalista. And that's going to be absolutely devastating for the Hoy's Velocity lane of Senator Ketchi. Goes back to base, picks up tier 2 boots and an additional dagger, so he's got so much attack speed to get those Ren stacks going. And I kind of understand Gabusha's thought process here, because what I imagine he's thinking is that, okay, Bambi probably wants to play towards the bottom side of the map, so what he's likely done off the back of his reset is gone towards the top side, and he's going to just clear down top to bottom. The unfortunate reality of the situation is that Bambi decided to start as blue buff. Whether or not he read the potential late invade is, you know, a whole nother 3D chess discussion to have. But it's what Bambi did. And then Gaboosh goes a little bit too far forward up in towards the jungle, trying to force Bambi out to pick up the wolf camp perhaps. But he just doesn't have first move because he's in the enemy jungle and none of the laners are underneath their own towers having to catch waves. So they just go and respond. Really big win for Lightside and in particular for Moxox, who, again, we've spoken about as being carry. Picked up a red buff, I believe, amongst all of that too.
Yeah.
Was all of those gold from the kills. And now you expect Lightside are probably just going to try and get the early Dragon Stacking going as well, as Bambi is pathing towards the bottom side of the map, whilst Gaboosh is still towards the top side.
That's a 1k goal lead for Moxox on this Kalista. 5 minutes into the game. That is disgusting. And Lundqvist Lightside, now that they've got this lead, I think you mentioned it in one of the previous games, once you get snowballing, you just don't stop. And that's the plan for Lundqvist Lightside, as they're taking the first trick of the game practically on spawn.
Yeah, and I really want to see how well Lightside are able to utilize the Kalista. I feel like Kalista isn't really a champion we get to see, you know, too frequently in Division 2. I feel like it's maybe showed its head 2-3 times at most. Kalista, you know, traditionally has a pretty high execution floor for a lot of teams in competitive. But Lightside have been a team that I've, you know, actually been drafting a lot of the time for the opposite. So I want to see how well they do now with this lead. As MBZ being jumped on by Curl, the issue is Svenne is everywhere.
Why are you top lane? You're a support. You're not meant to be up there. And it will keep MBZ alive. Bambi here as well. The comeuppance. It's a level 6 action at 6 minutes into the game. And Gaboosh is forced away Svenne. That was a roam of dreams.
They can look to dive in my opinion. I think they should just all stay and ensure that nobody picks up the XP hit. If Gaboosh tries to catch his wave, he can just die. Bambi might just catch him out entirely. He's dead.
Press attack has been proc, but Curl shows up. Bambi doesn't have flash available just yet. Either way, this is a lot of tower plates going over to Lundqvist Lightside. Curl is going to show up. He's going to be able to throw one undertow, but that's practically all that he's going to be able to do.
Yeah, and he threw a little bit too fast, and IS thrown kind of far to get it. Oh, he has Ragnarok.
Does have Ragnarok? Does he want to greed for this? Ooh. Maybe if that undertow had landed, he could have gone for something, but it doesn't. Things are starting to snowball out of control for Lundqvist Lightside, I feel.
Yeah, a little bit. And I mean, Svenne, I mean, guys, check underneath your desk, your chair.
Hang on, let me just check behind my green screen for a second.
Yeah,
no, he's not there yet.
He's just everywhere at the moment. Top side 2 times. Bottom side to collapse onto Gaboosh quite quickly. Really having a really strong game at the moment. And Lightside already patting their support on the back come the end of this game, even if they end up losing. Right now, in a very commanding
thing to me is you've got a 3-0 Kalista. You wouldn't expect the support of the 3-0 Kalista to be leaving their ADC and playing around other parts of the map.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of set a pretty clear expectation. We were assuming that Lightside would try and, you know, play towards the bottom side of the map, trying to abuse the bottom side matchup that they have, you know, between the jungle as well. But they haven't really been doing that. It's more been on, you know, decent map reads from Lightside and good responses, in particular from Svenne, who has done so much to shut down a lot of the proactivity that we've seen from Rate so far. And let's hope that we can continue to see that level of players. Moxox is actually dinged over level 6. We'll see whether or not we get any kind of aggression on this brief window of advantage.
Surely throw Svenne in.
You would like to think, but the problem is Hoyes has flash, and I feel like that's always going to be their target above Velocity. And with Hoyes having flash, I think it's just going to keep a lot of their aggression at bay. And now the Velocity also has Devour. Could just chill out for a little bit. Hex Flash was considered in the mid jungle. Gaboosh has found himself dead. Again. I'm sure we'll get a replay.
Where have they died? They have died in Lundqvist Lightside's jungle, as we've got our top laners duking it out. Curl taking a fair bit of damage, but the Ragnarok dropped down. Comeuppance, is that going to be enough? Shield will be able to eat into it. To be honest, I think even without the shield, MBZ wouldn't have got the kill.
Yeah, you know, I overestimated how much damage that was going to do. I just always feel like if I'm that low, like, you know, if it's enemy action and I'm that low, I die. But yeah, Curl had the shield. Doesn't seem like anything is going to happen just yet. So we get a brief look. Gaboosh just trying to harass teasers. And Bambi, I assume, is just going to flash over the wall. Yeah, okay. Well, easy as you like. Nothing that Gabush could have expected there. Trying to get a little bit too aggressive, and a Mexican
What?
standoff.
Yeah, I was about to say, is this a Mexican standoff elite?
Some I can see the tumbleweed in between the three of them.
It's just a scuttle crab passing through between them.
Cue the harmonica music.
Right, Bambi goes in onto Gabush. Zvene follows up, and
boy.
Gabush will take their 4th death of the game. We're not even 10 minutes in, and the Trundle is 1-4-1.
It's not the start that you want from a Trundle. And it just feels like, again, for the 4th time in a row, Gabush has been a little bit too... Well, 3rd time. We won't hit on the late invade death. I think that'd be a little bit too unfair. I think that was Lightside just reading the map really well. The other times, though, yeah, it's definitely been a very curious sequence of events from Brother Gabush. And Curl has both Ghost and Exhaust. MBZ has no Flash. I think what he's waiting for is MBZ to walk a little bit too far forward. So that potentially the heroic swing would have been a bit of an awkward angle for Curl to actually take him down.
I thought Curl was going to go in there, but instead
So did I.
he threw an undertow, refused to elaborate, and he walked off.
Yeah, this just feels like a very frustrating lane to be in.
Yes.
Because you really want to run down Akshan, but Akshan has so many good tools at just not getting run down in a lane, like in the top lane, that you just kind of sit there as an Olaf and you're like, well, I guess I'm not snowballing, and my jungler's having a game, so I don't really have jungle to help me out either.
BZ is just dancing on the edge of that undertow range, and now Lightside get their 2nd Drake of the game at 11 minutes. They're just dominating in every single department right now.
Yeah, they are. Top side, mid lane, bottom lane, getting all the neutral objectives. Bar the deaths, it's looking like a relatively perfect game so far from Lightside. Can't really pick on too much of their play. Gabush makes his way towards the top side, trying to force MBZ out of lane just because of how low he is. And now what I expect is, yeah, play towards the bottom side. Now, he did use the Hex Gate, so they do know he's here, but I think Bambi more interested in just dropping the Herald and getting some plates into the back pocket of Moxox, if I had to wager a guess.
I wonder if they could just go full-on tower dive, because you've got the Stormbringer available.
Level 6, yeah.
And that Fate's Core. 1 tower plate will surely fall. Do they wait for the Rift Herald to charge in first?
3. There's the first. But I don't think Moxox, no, Moxox does get it. And crucially, they also didn't split between Zvene, so it's a lot more extra gold. Now, Gabush and Cole, they're on the top side cross-mapping at the very least, but who would you rather the gold be going into? A Trundle and an Olaf who should, in theory, fall off? Or a 3-0 Kalista who is into 3 short-range champions and has the support of half of her team basically giving her space to deal her damage?
See, I love it when my color casters ask questions like that, where they give me the answer, because it's very clear that it's clearly Curl and Gabush.
True. But yeah, right now, Moxox should be pretty close to being able to pick up a shield, but of course you have to remember that the additional gold to go into tier 2 does make it so the shield blow will be a bit delayed, but of course Kalista, all those stats could be nice. Now they're just going to dive Gabush and Cole.
And Gabush is dead before Azir even makes his way in. Errol shows up. It's a 1-for-1 so far. So I'm guessing Rate will be fairly happy with that trade, all things considered.
Yeah, I think Rate will be okay. They do commit the ultimate from Hoyes as well, cross map to try and assist. So they do blow that ultimate. But I think the fact that Lightside commit 3 members to the top side, they only get a 1-for-1. I mean, they get the teleport. They're going to be losing out on some plates here towards the bottom side as well. Moxox might even be just outright forced away because he doesn't have a shield bow. He can't 2v1 that. And Lightside in the extended, Seiko,
no Ragnarok available. You can exhaust Bambi, but it doesn't matter because the exhaust is going to run out. And when it does, this is close. Zvene flashes away. That's the undertow. That, I think, was kill range.
It definitely was. And teasers,
Goodbye.
Reed, let us know how he ended up there.
He went on, see, I've got some players on one of the teams that I quote-unquote coach. And sometimes we play normals, where we go weird champions, and we like to say we're going on fun adventures. And I think that was Teasers' fun adventure.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm curious as to how this happened now.
Okay, so teases. How does he?
Oh.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, well played, Errol. Teases. I mean, honestly, I think he could have.
I think he
made
could have got
out.
out of that with a blast cone.
Not just the blast cone, but also it's the hex rift. He could have just hex rifted
Oh
to
yeah.
his side of the map.
I feel like a lot of
I
players
think he just
forget
forgot.
that
Like,
hex rift is a
yeah,
thing.
like
Yeah.
is you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's a very much new mechanic. So
Yes.
you know, hell, I've been playing the game now. Actually, technically, my 8-year anniversary of playing League of Legends was
very nice.
technically today, I believe. Or playing ranked was today. So fun random fact you didn't need to know. Teases has phase rush, but doesn't have flash.
Shurima shuffle, but Bambi is waiting. Hoys will show up, but in comes Beezy from the side. Arrow will fall. A 1-for-1 Sveni making his way over. Moxox in quick succession. Bambi now looking for the engage. Who does he go? And not going to be able to stun up anyone as Gaboosh also shows up as well. So it's just a 1-for-1 overall in the mid lane.
Yeah, but the thing is, Teases is already back. Errol is going to be dead for another 15 seconds, have to respawn, and have 20 seconds to get towards the mid lane to try and help his team. And BZ, brilliant room to ensure that his team can win out on this skirmish. And now Lightside have control of the river, but let's take a look at the ultimate economy. I think that's very important to track. Velocity and Errol both lost their ultimates. Those are pretty big team fighting ultimates in order to keep your team members alive. Whereas Teases is the only one that actually dropped his ultimate. So we'll see whether or not that comes into effect. Right now, it seems like Great more focused on the mid lane priority, but Lightside more interested in just being in front of the objective first.
Sveni just trying to stay out of vision. He wants that big flanking magnet storm.
Ooh, he's been seen.
Did he got spotted? He did. He's going to take the blast cone. No, just going to take the hex gate and make his way out as the Drake has been started. All members from both teams are in the river. Gaboosh looks for Beezy, flashing over the Trundle pillar. And will end up with jumping away as Rate now control this river.
Yeah, this is big. Emperor's Divide's up, and actually Subjugate got used on Bambi just to try and dissuade him from going in. But look at Sveni.
Fate's Call, drop down in the center of the fight, and it's a big magnet storm, but is it enough? Moxox is getting the first kill, but he is not being peeled by the rest of his team. BZ able to get one more, and now a 3v3, but the health bars are so low. Sveni incredibly low. Gaboosh flashing forward, and BZ able to get one. Never mind, he's been devoured. Gaboosh is spat out, and he will fall, and BZ gets the reses, as he mentioned, and this time the comeuppance will surely kill Carl. No! He just needed a smidgen more. He just needed a minion to spit at the Olaf. But Carl will survive. Sadly, though, for Rate, Lundqvist Lightside will be getting their third Drake of the game.
This is the most value I've seen from Akshan Res in a comp game in my life. First, he reses Teases all the way back at the setup for the Dragon, and then he reses, I think, both the jungler and Sveni, both Bambi and Sveni. Now they're here to actually pick up the Dragon. That's a teleport, but... Oh, wait, there's no smite on Bambi. But Errol doesn't know. He was looking for Teases. If Errol went to the Dragon, he could have stolen that, but I just don't think he was of the knowledge, of course, that Bambi doesn't have smite. It's not exactly the easiest thing to track because of course, the 2 charges. But third Dragon goes over to Lightside. And let's just get a replay of it all. Because Lightside initially were trying to look for a flank with Sveni. Sveni gets found out, and then he ends up on the same side as his team. Kyle, however, is bush camping and then look towards Bambi because he's trying so hard to get towards the pit. He eventually does get found out and has to go backwards. You can see, though, Moxox just ends up in the middle of so many members with his support in Sveni. But it's all about MBZ because look at all of the value that he gets out of the resurrects. He's already resurrected Bambi. Well, Bambi goes back to base and comes back. Then he gets the resurrect onto Sveni. Then he almost takes out Curl with his ultimate. And BZ, I think by all rights, probably should have died, given where he was at one point in that team fight. But fortunately for him, Rate just don't focus him down.
I feel like that fight was a bad setup from Lundqvist Lightside. I'm going to hold that point. We've got a teleport coming through the top lane. Sveni looking to Gaboosh. Drops down with a magnet storm. He's going to be able to land onto Hoys as well, but the focus is still onto Gaboosh. Errol making his way over and has that Emperor's Divide available. Velocity he was on the other side of the map and will end up taking the Hex Gate back out to safety.
Rift Herald. Looks like it's just going to go down in favor of Lightside again. Objective control has really been favoring them. I mean, they do have this super strong Kalista. Only that MBZ has been performing so well on Teases. Despite being caught out once or twice, has been layering out the damage quite substantially on this Victor already. just the Ludens and the Sork Pen Boots able to put out so much work, and Rate just not quite there yet in terms of being able to dish out that same level of damage. And I feel like the target selection hasn't quite been there to shut down MBZ well enough. Moxox, of course, in that fight kind of threw himself up on a silver platter in front of that dragon, so it's hard to really criticize Rate for that. It's more on Moxox's end, and I think for Rate right now, they just need to find a successful team fight in front of an objective, because right now they've just, simply put, just been losing them heavy-handedly. I think if they can maybe force Lightside to have to run into them as opposed to Lightside, you know, getting slightly more favorable setup, then things can work a little more in their favor. I think being able to, you know, have say in them walking into a center Azir really can give them a lot more preferable setup, generally speaking. But so far it's been Lightside that just either give up on mid lane priority and just sit in front of the objective first to force Rate in, or Lightside just kind of winning, regardless of what ends up happening with the setup. Of course, that third Dragon's Vene kind of looked for the flank, wasn't able to find it, and then it turned into Rate being in front of the objective first, partially anyway.
I do want to say, considering how one-sided the first 5 minutes felt, the fact that Rate are only 1,000 gold behind at 20 minutes is kind of insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely credit to Rate in a way for holding on gold side. I think you have to remember a lot of the deaths have been Gaboosh finding himself in circumstances he perhaps shouldn't be finding himself in. Some of this gold lead will explode as a couple of towers fall across the map, but again, like you say, considering how the early game went, it's definitely very surprising to see Rate are still relatively competitive 21 minutes into the game on the gold values. It's all about 90 seconds from now when this dragon spawns, because I think once a potential soul goes over to Lightside, I'm not sure whether or not Rate can really hold on to the immediate damage threat. Of course, if Lightside slow up in tempo, then giving time to Azir and Senna will always be beneficial. Easy.
He's on the flank, looking for velocity.
They want the fight.
Caught. The focus is on to the Tom Kenshin, a 3-man Magnet Storm, forced out by the Emperor's Divide, and Bambi ults away out to safety, but look how low Svene is, flashing away. Gaboosh thinks about going in for more, but decides against it. Lundqvist Lightside, they take the fight, but to me, it feels like Rate practically won that.
Yeah, it felt like Rate able to stave off that engage there from Lightside. And on the top side of the map, Teaser's just solo killed Carl somehow through Exhaust and Ghost. I think it must have been a tower dive. MBZ almost gets caught out, but I think should just be able to make it back to safety. No more pillar available, and the rest of his team will make it back to the map with the Hex Gates.
Ooh, look at velocity.
And this Dragon's 30 seconds away. This is very, very interesting. Velocity. And this is what we spoke about right before that engage in the mid lane. Rate now have the opportunity to try and shut down Lightside from entering the river. They have the zoning tools to do it with Pillar, with Azir. Or will they be able to? It looks like the answer is no, because Lightside already in the river.
And they've already killed Gaboosh. The jungler is down. There is no more smite on the side of Rate. The Olaf isn't here. Will be coming in up from the flank. Bambi has to be incredibly careful because an undertow could be massive. It lands. It gets the slow, but Carl can't look for more. Boys has so much range right now. Looking towards the Teasers. Another undertow thrown, and Teasers already down to half health as Rate continue pushing forward. And Lundqvist Lightside are just getting poked out of this. Teasers will get shut down. The comeuppance. Surely that is Hoy's dead. And indeed, it is 2 kills for 1 in favor of Lightside.
Oh my god, look at the Ren stacks, and now MBZ's going to pick up a double kill for himself. Honestly, I'm not sure if MBZ used the comeuppance on the correct target. I think if he uses it on Errol, he gets the res back up for his teammate, for Teasers, and then it works out. But still, picking off the center, guaranteed. Definitely a great trade. Errol?
What?
Moxox is dead. What's going on?
And Gaboosh has respawned, and now Bambi has fallen, and all of a sudden, it's Rate who are going to be getting the Drake, and Rate denying the Hex Exalt from Lundqvist Lightside.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would need a replay to see if anybody could get in the way of the Akshan ult, but if Akshan ults Errol, I'm kind of confident he would have died at this stage in the game, given Akshan's items. But I'm just not too sure whether or not the Tom Kench could have blocked it. It's definitely something that's boggling my mind a lot. Initial replay, though, they just find out Gaboosh really quickly. Yeah. Bambi loses a lot of his health for it, though, and that's the crucial thing. The rest of the team tried to go onto Velocity, but it's all about Curl on the back side of the fight, who finds out Bambi isn't quite able to find the reckless swing, and then it's a partial re-engage, kind of. You can see Lightside in 2 mines. Vene's on a ward, though, so Ray are able to kind of reposition appropriately. They don't overextend. Then Teasers ends up in the middle lane trying to get all the damage. Yeah, no one could have blocked that. And I'm not sure if it was a vision. No, there's a control ward there. So if MBZ ults Errol, he resurrects his Victor, and Victor can teleport back in and probably secure this for
teleport
Ray. And then a
Errol.
teleport comes back in from Errol after not being murdered by the Akshan Ormet. And because of all of that, Ray are able to secure this dragon and stop Lightside from picking up an early soul.
And I do feel with every minute that passes, Ray are getting more and more competitive, and it feels like Ray are playing with their comp better around these team fights. And now Lundqvist Lightside, they find themselves with a 1.5k goalie, but that feels like practically nothing at this point. And BZ has a huge lead, nearly at 3 items, 6-1 and 6 on the Akshan, but doesn't feel like he's fully converting that. Yes, he's cleaning up some fights, but I don't feel he's having as much of an impact as Errol is.
Yeah, not just yet. Now, Lightside, they're damage checking the Baron. A couple of missing pings go down. Velocity's cancelled his recall, but this thing is already at 5k. It's gone. It's gone. It's dead.
It is down, and it is Baron on 5 members of Lundqvist Lightside, but do Rate want to take the fight? Bambi might be the sacrificial bear. As in goes the Tom Kench in to the back line. Teases trying to do some damage, and Teases has already, well, 2 members of Rate have fallen, and Lundqvist Lightside, they have the Baron now come up, and Errol is going to have to tank the full charge of this, but surprisingly, practically does no damage to the Azir.
Yeah, you have to remember with that Akshan Ormet, it's fully an execute. So it just it deals significantly more damage depending on how low the target is. So if you a full HP target like you saw there, an Errol, it looked like it did like 300 damage. But if Errol had 600 health, he would have very closely come to death, as Gabush is trying to pick on Teasers here. But problem is, Teasers has Phase Rush, has kited him out for half of his health, and has almost murdered him through center roll. And now mid lane is happening. So I'm not sure.
All of a sudden, I thought Rate were back in this game, and then Lundqvist have just flipped this with just rushing down the Baron, winning a fight, and now getting an inhibitor. All within the space of, what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, because, you know, you made a point I actually agreed with, that Rate for the last 2 fights or so, probably 2 fights is definitely the, how many? They've just been playing the fights just a little bit better than what Lightside had been. And now Curl, I mean, has exhaust.
Flashes away, Chaos Storm, and Teasers gets the kill.
Well, just feels like Rate are on many different pages at the moment, outside of these team fights. First, Gabush goes to try and pick on Teasers, doesn't quite work out. Then Curl does, and Curl dies as well. So, definitely a very curious one. Lightside all the while, they pick up the mid lane inhibitor, they pick up a lot of gold from this tier 2, and now they're just going to be able to reset and then get themselves ready for a Hextech Soul yet again, which this time you imagine Lightside will go out of their way to not mess up.
And they can't mess it up, because I feel like if you give Rate more time to scale, if you delay that potential Elder even further, Rate are going to get back into this game. It doesn't feel like a question of if, it's more a question of when. Well, I guess the if is if Lundqvist Lightside actually just win this game in a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you cannot deny the scaling power of Azir Senna. Errol, Deathcap, Void Staff, Leandries, I think definitely the best build path you could have gone for. And Hoyes has 2 items with 98 stacks. He's 2 stacks away from his 4th range increase.
This next fight online. This next fight does feel like it is the game deciding fight. If Lundqvist Lightside get the Drake, if they win the fight, I feel like they have game. If Rate win and deny that soul, then I feel like Rate are just in prime position to take this game.
Yeah, I think Rate would really put themselves in a good spot to at the very least delay the game, right? Get themselves even further into a position where they can contest with their 2 hyperscaling carries. Lightside, though, they're in front of the pit first. There's Curl using the Hex Gate to get behind everybody, but how much work is that really going to be able to do?
You can be almost ensured that there will be a big fight happening. Curl no longer has a flank. The Drake has already been started. Both teams posturing over it. This might just come down to a smite fight. Gaboosh goes in, so does
Gaboosh
Bambi,
won.
and it is stolen by Gaboosh. The fight will now begin as Velocity is on it to MBZ, but Svene is doing so much damage with the Chaos Storm. MBZ
Errol?
over the wall. Big Emperor Divine, and Errol on the Azir. A double kill. Surely that's a triple, maybe even the quadra as well. MBZ swinging his way out to safety, but Velocity will follow and will lick the Akshan to death. Teases falls as well, and it is an ace for one in favor of Rate.
Errol popped off in that team fight. He picks himself up a quadra kill, and Lightside just aren't able to make the team fight work after they lose another Hextech Dragon. And now this is just all time for Rate to stall. We just said how much scaling power the likes of a Senna and an Azir can have. Feels like Lightside have been able to abuse that for so long, but now it's starting to come to fruition, where the likes of Moxox and Teasers, let's see what actually happens to him, because I'm not sure where he even initially went. So MBZ gets chunked out heavily. The Smite fight isn't won by Bambi. The engage from Zvene is great. What did MBZ even get chunked out by in the first place? I'm not even sure what, but Velocity ends up on top of him. It had to have been the Azir. Teasers blows up Hoys amongst all of that, and Teasers is at the very back. Bambi plays frontline, but let's take a look at what actually happens. Is it just all of the... Oh my god, 2 woes. Basically half health Moxox, and just gets one shot by Errol. So fed at this stage in the game. And Velocity is able to keep him alive in the middle of everybody. The Leandri's burn takes out Zvene. Probably would have taken out NBZ as well, to be honest with you. And he finds Teasers for his quadra kill. I'm going to dub that an official penta, an unofficial penta, to be honest. Because I think NBZ would have died to the Leandri's burn. And if Matt's going to get worse, is he's just picked up Azonia's. So he's going to be even harder to kill.
He's practically full build now. 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. And I really want to praise Velocity. Just going straight onto MBZ, preventing MBZ from really getting involved in the fight. And just... The start of the fight felt good for Lundqvist Lightside, because you got Teasers on the Victor kind of, you know, doing Chaos Storm things, but eventually just the DPS from Errol to Zia is disgusting.
Yeah, and not only that, the engagement from Svene was great. The initial part of the fight was fantastic, but I just feel like the fact that amongst all of that, MBZ also wasn't able to dish out his own damage, whilst Errol was able to respond in kind with what felt like 2 auto attacks to half health the carries of the entirety of Lightside. Is absolutely absurd. Now, I think he even has a blue pot, given his character model, is just going to be able to move over to Baron and pressure Lightside into making a decision, because this Baron with an Azir this fed is going to get bursted down ridiculously quickly. Now, look towards MBZ on the left-hand side, because he's in a flank position. If Lightside can get a good engage, and he can also follow up on it, maybe there's some hope. But right now, Rate, again, all they have to do is protect the Emperor, right? Protect the Emperor, keep Hoys up as well. They'll be staying comfortable. They're looking for an engage. Bambi's out.
And it forces Bambi to use the ult defensively, but Errol just follows him, and Errol picks up an easy kill. And Lundqvist Lightside have lost their jungler.
They have lost the jungler, and now Rate are likely going to go towards this Baron. MBZ split pushing on the side lane. What will he do here? Because he can stay invisible. Is he going to go towards the mid lane inhibitor, perhaps? Or is he going to go towards the Baron? What do Lightside want to do? Because if they try and contest this 3 versus 4, or 4 versus 5 rather, they are undoubtedly going to get shredded and lose. But if they lose the Baron, then they're just going to lose out on so much pressure for the rest of the game.
They have to fight. They have to try to steal away the Baron. Nasher come up and skews at the start of the fight. Svene looking for an engage, but the Baron has been secured. Abyssal dive, and Rate want the fight. Fate's Call will pull Svene out to safety, but the saves can't be said for Teasers and BZ, who are on the back foot. Another Abyssal dive. Velocity now on the chase. Teasers and BZ running for their lives, and they will be able to make it out, but they weren't able to steal the Baron. And the Baron on all
behind them.
Members of Rate. As you mentioned, there is the teleport. The flank from Errol. He's looking for Teasers. Oh! He can't deny the Hex Gate in time. And BZ on the backline with a flank is able to find 1 kill. Now he's running for his life. Velocity on the chase. Out comes the Avengerang. And Gaboosh looking to chase, but you don't want to be fighting into that action. And Lundqvist Lightside might have just found their window to go in. Gaboosh is incredibly low. Carl going in. Errol can't get into the fight. BZ zoning him away. Carol devoured by Velocity. And BZ will fall. Errol gets the kill. And now Lundqvist Lightside on the retreat. Another Abyssal dive finds a knockup. Svene out of the fight. Bambi going in. What can Moxos do. The damage is all on the Callista. Errol goes in.
Jesus.
Moxon goes golden and teases with a Chaos Storm. And the shutdown onto Errol. Velocity running for his life. Kaboosh flashing over the wall. Looking for teases. Goes golden. Bambi incredibly low. Moxox is here. Teases will fall. Now there's a teleport. Moxox trying desperately to cut away. Bambi with a stun. Moxox will be able to get out. The Velocity is here. Flashing forward. Looking for Moxox, who can't kite back, and he will get licked to death. Bambi doesn't get the shield in time, and Rate win the fight.
What just happened? Milky, sit down, take a rest for your breath and your voice. Where are Rate going to go with this? They have Baron. That was the longest fight I think I have seen all split long. This started directly after the Baron fell, and Baron has a minute left on it for the people that still have the buff. Like,
yeah,
my God. That was absurd, but...
it was so close.
Okay. Deep breath. The important thing is for Rate is that they picked up a third dragon. And not only that, that means that Lightside don't have soul. So now Lightside have to wait 5 minutes for another soul fight, which realistically, given how the fights have trended, Rate are probably going to win. So they have to find a way to break this trend. And the only way to do that is to find their way onto Errol. But the issue is Errol has just been positioning so well with the stasis on multiple members time and time again. So MBZ picks off Hoyz's late to rotate in the minute. So that's how that happens, for one. But after the fact, it's a bit of an over chase to a degree on MBZ. And this is kind of the point in the fight where I'm like, wait, they're kind of out of position on this retreat. There's no Emperor's Divide. Maybe with Svene's flash, they could have gone forward. But then it's just a re-engage on top of Svene. And then Carl and Velocity able to walk out because of Velocity's ultimate. Errol finally decides to get involved because he's a little bit unsure, picks off MBZ, and now we have to come out of the replay because we're already back into the base of Lightside. 35 minutes in, MBZ split pushing on the bottom side. Nobody's answering him. And he has another wave coming, so he's going to take this. Yeah, he's going to take this one down. Maybe Lightside try and deny all of these recalls. I'm not sure they're going to be able to, though. They don't quite see where Errol is. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Curl. I don't think it's going to go down. I don't think it's going to go down. Yeah, as they've got stopped. And BZ can, yeah, for sure, 100%. But if Curl ends up on top of him, it's a bit dangerous. But the rest of Rate are here already.
BZ has to take this fight. He has to get through the Olaf. He's going to be able to get the inhibitor. Now he has to run for his life. He's in a 1v4. Surely there's no way out for BZ right now. He's going to have to channel his inner magician. Oh, he's gone. Where is he gone? The Abyssal Dive. Oh, they just spotted for a second. And BZ has made his way out. Surely he's going to swing. He's going to try to win. He's got a Hex Gate. And then BZ is out.
Sneaky. Does his best Twitch cosplay. Velocity?
Velocity has to be careful. Where is Errol? Errol is in his base. Lundqvist Lightside might try to get the pick, but the Fate Call will pull Svene away. Lightside can't get too aggressive.
Yeah, I think Lightside is just because of what we see. They don't have the privilege of observer view. That looked like a pretty free pick onto Velocity, but for them, they don't know where the rest of Rate are. So, yeah, not going to criticize Lightside on that one. I think so far into the game, imagine you overcommit onto a Tahm Kench and then, like, Errol just comes out of Fog of War and murders your entire team with Emperor's Divide. Like, it's totally sensible to not go for that pick. Lightside, though, it feels like haven't had control of a team fight in a very, very long time now. I think since the Senna, since the Azir in particular, Errol has come online, it has just felt so oppressive for Moxox to really put out the damage, because he was the one that was fed originally. Now it's Teasers. And he has to find his damage onto Errol.
I feel like if Lightside take maybe fights in the corridors of the jungle, if you can get a Chaos Storm that Rate can't be able to sidestep, Rate can't be able to move out of, maybe then Lightside have a chance to be able to win a fight.
Yeah, I think crucially, Lightside, and I feel like a broken record, I think I've definitely said this a couple of times, if they can be in the river first, in front of the objective first, great. But I think the step before that, choke control. Actually stopping Rate from advancing into the river is the pretty big deal. The only problem is they don't really have too many zoning tools to stop that outside of their own bodies. It's mostly just like Gravity Field from Victor, and that's it. Senna has 131 stacks 38 minutes into this game. Hoyz is definitely very capable of dealing damage, especially towards those squishier members. just has to be able to be in a position to do it. And BZ is just going to harass Curl down there on the bottom side.
Yeah, but Errol is here as well. Can BZ get the kill in time? Running away, Errol over the wall. BZ is forcing flash. Surely he's going to die. Come up and tanked by Errol, and BZ will fall.
Baron, right? I mean, teleport comes in. How quick will the Baron go? It's a great pick. I mean, the answer is not very quick at all. So now Rate are going to have a 4v4 with their strongest members. It's going to be a 50-50 as well, Gaboosh.
Even if they win this, Errol's going to be absolutely massive. Baron is down solo, and it is secured by the Kalista. But surely, Lundqvist Lightside can't win this fight. Moxox is trying to kite, but look at Errol now trying to come round the side. Lundqvist Lightside are on the ropes. They're running away. They're trying to teleport. Gaboosh, can he interrupt it?
Okay,
no.
he's out.
He can't, but that's a Guardian's Angel that has been popped for Moxox. Bambi with nowhere to go, and as you mentioned, there is that Drake spawning in 10 seconds time, and surely that's free picking for Rate, but Lundqvist Lightside are going to run there as quickly as they can.
Yeah, Velocity is also going to try and push in this mid lane wave. Teasers really needs to get as many of these creeps dead as possible. Maybe actually Rate just stay to help with the Dragons. 30 seconds left on Bambi and Moxox. They can maybe look to just force a 5v3. Svene and BZ teasers with the Baron buff on one. They don't want to take the risk. They just want to go and secure the dragon, it seems like. I think that's just a really sensible call. I think going for a flip here in a game like this, you would feel absolutely remiss with yourself if you don't manage to end the game. It does, however, give Lightside an extra lifeline in terms of, Velocity has flash. So I suppose he'll probably get out, but very spooky.
Dive? No, flash is away.
Yeah, very spooky. I think if he Abyssal dives, then BT has too much time to get the damage in.
Sveni does not want to allow Velocity to back, but if Rate were oppressive before, now they've got a Hextech Soul. 4 Hextech Drakes stacked on top of each other. Errol's poke, Hui's poke,
and
is going to be disgusting.
Yeah, and honestly, Errol couldn't ask for better stats, because don't forget, Hextech Dragons individually give you attack speed and ability haste.
Bloody hell.
So he's got 2 extra daggers and 24 extra ability haste, which is kind of bonkers for an Azir with a build like that, which isn't necessarily chock full of haste in itself. Emperor's Divide deals 921 damage. Can you pull the Dragon menu and just see how much haste he has? I don't think you have time.
There's nothing to fight over right now, but Lundqvist Lightside are going to retreat.
What if they just did? He has 94 ability haste, which for the record is basically, the number comes up. I was about to say practically the equivalent of 50%, 48% is what it is in ability haste. Absolutely nuts, as some of the damage numbers are being shown to us, but I think we're about to have a team fight. Velocity.
Look at Curl on the side, looking towards Svene. Fate's Call will pull the Rel out to safety. We've seen BZ on these flanks before, trying to sneak his way in. He was able to find Hoyes earlier, but not this time. This game's on a knife edge right now, Jamada.
It really is. Alright, goes the way. Definitely respect that decision, but now Velocity and the rest of the Rate kind of have free reign towards the mid lane. A couple of recalls are going to come in. So maybe Lightside should be able to stop this shove at most, but I think they're probably going to lose their inhibitor, and I think Moxox and the rest of Lightside agree. They're going to go for a shove down here, and oh god, are we base racing with Kalista on the bottom side? It looks like that's the case. Rate have the soul, so they feel confident to go in. Curl is probably going to go back and reset. But now the rest of Lightside can play interrupt. This is an inhibitor down. That Nexus tower is even low enough to be poked down at. Bambi?
Bambi runs away. Errol is backing. Moxox is pushing.
He can 1v1
Nexus tower, the fight has started. BZ's already been able to get one. Errol goes in. BZ's gonna fall. Rate surely win the fight. They do. They have 3 members pushing in, and it is only teasers left. But Moxox is fighting Carl, and the Olaf gets the kill. Surely that's it, Jamada. Surely that's game. For Rate, there's gonna be nothing that teasers can do. Lundqvist Lightside, they tried desperately to find a win condition, but in the end, it is Rate who take the win and tie themselves at the top of the NLC Division 2 standings.
Yes, they do. Rate with a steadfast defense of that game, and if they didn't pick up that 3rd or 4th dragon, rather, it's quite dark in your room now. What's happened?
I was wondering where that am,
Yeah, picking up that 4th dragon was absolutely huge, because stopping Lightside from picking up the soul changes the entire course of that game. If the soul goes over to Lightside, we were saying maybe the damage that and the stats that are afforded to Lightside just kind of push them over the edge, and there's no real comeback for rate, bar loads of mistakes from Lightside, and they pick up the dragon, they deny the soul, and then they're just able to scale and consistently find positive team fights time after time. And you really have to credit Errol on the Azir, I think, was, to me at the very least, the MVP of that game. Time and time again, just massive Emperor's Divide, so much damage coming out onto key members of Lightside. It's hard to really critique Lightside for that game. I just feel like it was a
It
comedy
slipped
of
away.
yeah, like it was a comedy of uncanny errors, which kind of just allowed the game to slip away. And I think by design, the drafts as well were kind of meant to play out like that in a sense. The Azir and the Senna were almost always supposed to come online very late into the game, deny what was effectively a very short range composition of Lightside, and just have very successful team fights. And that's what ended up playing out. Commiserations to Lightside for dropping another game in the Super Week, but also huge congratulations to Rate. They are now tied at the top of the standings alongside Natives and alongside Lightside, of course, who they just took down.
Yeah, and huge congratulations to the fans and the script writers because we got a three-way tie at the top of the standings. Which, let's be honest, nobody, unless you're a fan of one of the teams, nobody doesn't want to see that. So very close between Lundqvist, Natives, and Rate. However, we're going to jump on into a short break, and when we return, we will be having our winners and losers interviews. Don't go anywhere because we've got some fun chats up ahead.